Despite the sadness, NCIS, Tony and Ziva provide a compelling case in episode 5 for why they shouldn't be reunited. Now that the Paramount Plus spin-off based on the NCIS franchise is halfway through its run, the plot of the show is starting to take shape. The 5th episode of NCIS, Tony and Ziva has a number of surprising twists, some of which appear to be counterproductive. The status of Tony and Ziva's relationship, however, is the most important lesson to be learned from the series as a whole. Flashbacks to their reunion 5 years ago are interspersed throughout NCIS, Tony and Ziva's plot thus far, and they are related to their current circumstances. The two ultimately shared a kiss as episode 4 came to a close. Admittedly, it was expected that NCIS, Tony and Ziva would capitalize on the interesting will they/won't they dynamic. Even though some of that is still going on, Tony and Ziva's post-kiss conversation is enlightening, but concerning. The current predicament on NCIS, Tony and Ziva is making the former members of the MCRT depend on one another to protect Tali and clear their names. One aspect of the spin-off's treatment of Tony and Ziva's relationship that pleasantly surprised me as someone who has followed their journey on NCIS is how mature they have both been. Even though Ziva's tendency to emotionally clam up, something she's working on in therapy, and Tony's jokes will always be there, the pair's handling of their circumstance is much more adult and muted. After that scorching boat kiss, they had more thoughtful conversations and less arguing. Despite being emotional during their conversation, Tony and Ziva are able to avoid stating the obvious: they still love one another. More telling, though, is the fact that they both concurred that they are determined not to resume their relationship in spite of their affections for one another. After learning more about what transpired during their reunion, including the odd couple's treatment, I find it more upsetting to see them in this circumstance than their 10-year dance in NCIS, even though Ziva already brought it up during the debut of NCIS, Tony and Ziva. Now that their romance is unhindered by outside forces, they can reunite if they so want. However, the fact that they are actively resisting their feelings and have no desire in getting back together suggests that there is a far deeper reason why they are not together. Tony and Ziva are now ironically arguing that they shouldn't be together on NCIS. But the show also uses it to provide a strong argument for their unavoidable reunion. Since so many individuals love each other but are still unable to maintain a relationship, it is unfortunate that it cannot simply be that they are in love. Compared to NCIS' typical output during the regular network TV cycle, NCIS, Tony and Ziva only has 5 episodes remaining in its 3-week run before the year ends. Although I can appreciate the need to introduce the plot points rapidly, it seems like there are a lot of turns in the adventure. The show is able to go on and concentrate on resolving certain stories because of Markham's genuine alliance, his connections to Martine, and their final plan being revealed. But killing Henry so quickly may have been postponed till later, maybe when people would have had more time to care about him. Henry's death is obviously staged for shock value, but if viewers had known more about him and his bond with Tony, NCIS, Tony and Ziva would have had a bigger response. If the show had been renewed for several seasons, he might have had a larger role. Thanks for watching. For more updates stay tuned and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, please.